Welcome to Dalma Makes. In this video I'm going to show you how I upcycled a sweets tin into my new paintbrush holder. What was inside was yummy, but the packaging was even more exciting to me as I've been keeping my longer paintbrushes in a glass jar and I wanted an upgrade. I knew I wanted to add a lot of texture to the outside of this, so the first step was to find a stencil that I liked best. I wanted a fairly plain background so that I can add more features to it. I just wrapped it around the shape of the tin and I used some texture paste with some coarse grit in it, and I just applied it through the stencil all around in a fairly even layer. Now the stencil wasn't quite long enough to cover the entirety of it, but it was about half. But instead of trying to overlap it and destroy the pattern, I just left a gap on both sides, as I'm going to use those areas to add more features. I thought this jute ribbon would give a lot of interesting texture and be complementary. So I'm just using more texture paste as glue, sort of piling a little bit on and then pressing the bits that I cut off into it, kind of embedding it. And I cut off 4 pieces to kind of fill in the remaining empty area. I also wanted to add a bit of a floral element, so I looked through my stash and found these flatback resin flowers, but I needed something more. I wanted some leaves or vines, so I decided to harvest them from these jewellery pieces that I got for free from somewhere, as they had these really nice leaf bits that I thought would work really well with the little flowers. So to harvest them all, I took apart the bracelet piece by piece, and of course I'm keeping the other parts of it for a different project. I also decided to add some larger fabric leaves to cover more area. With all the bits harvested and ready, I just attached everything in the same way, using the texture paste as a glue, as it's kind of self-leveling in the sense that I can press them in and have them deeply embedded into the texture, not like glued on top. This will make sure that they won't fall off as they are truly integrated into the surface. I just created different clusters of the flowers, the little leaf sprigs, and the fabric leaves. I chose the ugliest colors of the fabric leaves, as everything will be painted on, so color doesn't matter at this stage. I thought some extra beads might finish the design, as they can be illustrative of little berries maybe. Once I was pleased with all the design elements, I just used more of that texture paste to finish the bottom and the top so that everything matches in texture and style, and it also detracts from this looking so much as a tin anymore. I used my fingers in the end to smooth out some of the surfaces. This needed to dry overnight, but the next day it was rock solid and all the little bits were fully integrated. This time I base coated with black acrylic paint, as I was going for a really high contrast for the final look. I took my time to very carefully coat everything and press my brush into all the recesses so that with one pass I'll have full coverage. Obviously, black acrylic paint is very pigmented, so if I do a good job, there won't be need for additional coats of paint. These are all the colors I'm going to use to actually paint this. These paints have a little bit of a chalky finish. They work really well for textured surfaces, for techniques like overbrushing or dry brushing even. And that's what I'm doing with basically all of them. I use this burlap brown color as the base. And then I went in with a desaturated orange and using my finger instead of a paintbrush to selectively pick out areas. Then I went in with an olive green and basically did the same thing, just picking out random areas to apply the color to. For the floral clusters, I went back to using a paintbrush for more precision, and I applied a nice deep green to all of the leaves and all of the leaf sprigs that I harvested from the bracelet. For the flowers and berries, I chose a brighter orange. I like this orange so much, I added a little bit of it to the background as well. Next, I took the same olive green I used on the background and I gently rubbed it on all of the leaves. This makes the grooves of the veining on the leaves appear brightly once again as they are recessed. To brighten everything up, I went in with a nice bright yellow, and I'm going to use my finger to touch all of the raised areas, both the flower clusters and the textures in the background. As this will be an object of utility, I wanted to seal in all that paint, so I made my own tinted varnish from a little bit of brown acrylic paint and yellow shellac ink. This will seal in all the paint, but also work as a wash, as it will flow into all of the recesses, pooling here and there, creating even more dimension, and it will tint everything into a warmer color. I gave the shellac ink about half a day to dry. Now it's somewhat water resistant and durable. My short paintbrushes had a really nice jar to live in, so this tin will replace the jar I used to cram in my longer ones into. And now they finally have a space to breathe, and I can see them better, and they will be easier to pull out and use. The texture and the color palette I used for this fits in with the rest of the things I keep on my desk, and it will see a lot of use. Please do let me know what you think about this project in the comments. I always love to read your feedback. If you enjoy these kind of upcycling videos, please do consider subscribing to my channel. I upload a new video on every Wednesday. Thank you for watching. I hope you're having a nice day. Bye.